Welcome to A4NB4Y.
Welcome to A4NB4Y, the gaming podcast where we've been covering the Ocarina of Time chapter by chapter. Welcome to our finale show. I'm Ryan Fonzie, and with me, as always,
is Cameron Hagee.
And Anthony.
We got Tony D in the house.
Tony D.
Tony! Final episode!
Ganon's gonna get his comeuppance. This is when he gets his.
That's when he gets his.
We coming.
Alright.
We hyahing.
Coming in hot.
Man, I'm hungry. I'm gonna have me some salted pork.
Some Ganon steak for dinner. Medium rare.
Alright.
Cook him up with some apples.
Put one in his mouth when we turn him on a spit.
Yes.
Amazing. No, but for real, last time we just finished the Spirit Temple. We took out Ganondorf's mom.
Both of them.
Yeah, both of them. His moms, who can turn into his mom, I guess. I don't know. We got rid of her.
You know, it's funny. I just drank a beer last week that was called Amber Has Two Moms, but now, you know, I feel like they should rebrand to Ganon Has Two Moms.
TM.
Why did they name the beer that? Okay, well, you know what?
Yeah, no, I asked the exact same thing when I heard it.
Somebody had ideas that went unchecked.
Yep. This is why we have focus groups.
This is why echo chambers are bad.
This is why we do things by committee. But yeah, so we were actually, I think right after we were done with that, Rari was like, hey, you should head back to the temple. You got a call on line 2 or something like that. He basically said someone's waiting for you here.
Doop-a-dap-up.
So we head on over. We can just song our way over and teleport in. Doesn't really matter. No matter how we enter the Temple of Time next.
Ooh, funny story time. I shut my game off, and when I turned it back on, the cutscene started.
Oh, yeah. See, last time I was at this part, it started me off at my house. I had to still teleport over.
I was an adult, though. Were you an adult?
I'm pretty sure I was an adult. It didn't make any sense to me. I was like, that's not normal.
You went to your house?
I just loaded up my game, and he's just like having this epic slow walk into the Temple of Time. I'm like, yeah.
No, I think I started up my game, and I was standing there with my cow that Malon gave me.
Adult Link like wakes up in his house, and he's like, how did I get here? What happened?
How did the cow get there? That's a mystery that goes unsolved for real.
What's up, bro? I moved in.
Malon's cow moving services.
Right? She's like, oh, don't worry, it's kind of big, so I'll just have it delivered to your house. Malon, how do you know where I live? No one can get into Lost Woods without like being lost. Like, what are you talking about? Next thing you know, there's just a cow.
That mailman has a past.
Yeah, apparently the mailman's not only fast, but he can also throw cows into tree houses.
Yeah, and he put it on his shoulder and just ran into the Lost Woods like it's fine, and everyone can do that, and then he just, chucked it up there.
Alley moop.
He's so fast that the curse of the Stelphos doesn't apply to the mailman. He outruns the curse itself.
He outruns the curse. That's why he races you to the bridge, just to sit there and show you that he can be there.
Yeah.
He's like, this ain't no thing.
It's like, you ever heard of that company, 2 men and a truck? Well, it's just 1 postman and a truck.
And a truck.
And his hat.
Or 1 postman and his legs.
And his legs.
Still a truck? No, he doesn't have a truck. There's no trucks in this game. Confirmed. Oh, man. So, yeah. So, we do end up going back to the Temple of Time, and we get that epic cutscene. And by epic cutscene, I mean we talk to Sheik. Sheik is there.
Not for long.
And Sheik, I think does have a line saying that they've been waiting for you, and it's time for you to finally like know the truth of who I am, or something like that. I don't know. Honestly, like listen, guys, I'm excited to do this episode. I don't remember the lines. At this part of the game, it's kind of like the sprint to the finish.
Yeah, we just need to get the gist across. She was waiting. She let you know she was waiting. She got something to show you. Bam, she does something, and now Sheik's not here anymore.
She says that all the sages gathered up, and they're ready.
They're ready for battle.
Ready for a battle. Yeah.
They're going to lend you their power and I guess that it has something to do with the medallions, but not really something to do with the medallion. I don't know. There's a whole process. When you're a sage, the way the power goes from you to Link's area is mysterious. But it all works in the end. Anyway, Sheik is like, by the by, it turns into Princess Zelda.
No biggie.
Big twist ending. Nobody saw it coming.
Never.
Like, I know that the audience is probably shocked right now at that drop. They're all sitting there with their jaws to the floor.
Yeah, pretty much.
If you didn't play Super Smash Bros., you would never know.
They're flabbergasted.
So yeah, this androgynous ninja that we've been kind of allied with turns out to be the princess. I think something that's kind of cool is that we know that the princess had prophetic dreams, and Sheik always seems to know what we're about to do next whenever he runs into us. And I think it just kind of plays into that oh, yeah, that does make sense, because he would have, or she would have, or whatever, like, they dreamed it,
They knew.
And then they came and met us and basically gave us the tools that we needed to actually do what they dreamt of, I guess. So yeah, a lot of prophecy following you've been doing this whole time.
And it's also cool that the last time you see Zelda when she's a kid, she's running away with Impa, and then Impa basically trains her in the way of the Sheik, because she is one. So that's kind of cool, too. If you really think about what Zelda would have done in that time, it's not impossible to reach that conclusion and kind of already know if you really thought about it enough. It logically makes sense. I like that.
Yeah. I like how
you don't see her
way
ever.
of the Sheik, the way of the Sheikah is to appear, drop a bunch of knowledge, and then throw a Deku Nut and disappear.
Yeah, you drop a knowledge bomb, then you drop a Deku Nut bomb, then you outie.
That's how you do it.
You know what I like more than my castle? Knowledge.
You know what I like more than my Triforce of Power? Knowledge.
I love that.
Oh my goodness. Speaking of the Triforce of Power, I think Zelda tells you another story, because we've heard pieces of this whole game, but this time, you see the blue rain start up, the cutscenes fire up, and we learn a little bit more about the whole goddess Triforce situation. And what we learn is that there was a safeguard built in, where if somebody was unbalanced, basically, and touched and got to the Triforce, the Triforce would split into 3 pieces and kind of get dispersed amongst the person who got it, and then it would kind of find the other people who most exemplify the other traits. So Ganondorf, having came in at the beginning of this whole thing and got it, he ended up with the Triforce of Power. I think this is where Zelda shares that she has the Triforce of Wisdom, and you find out that you have the Triforce of Courage. And then Ganondorf, at the end of this whole spiel, there's one more thing. I think Zelda gives you light arrows as well.
Yes.
You're going to need these for your next part of this whole deal. Gives you the light arrows, and then immediately gets encapsulated into a purple crystal.
And Ganon's nowhere to be seen. She's just all of a sudden crystallized.
Right. This is one of those times where everybody's like, hey, why is this suddenly a Save the Princess game? Where, Zelda's been this really cool ninja character this whole time. Why can't they be a part of the fight? Why don't they have any agency in this game? Straight up, now she's a damsel in distress. That doesn't make no sense. We know from Smash Bros. She can hold her own.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, I still think she can hold her own, but Ganon just sort of did a thing,
Yeah.
I think she let her guard down, just unveiling herself, her identity to Link.
Yeah.
And that Ganondorf capitalized on that moment of weakness.
The moment of weakness in the grand reveal, though? I mean, I don't know.
Well, he's got ears everywhere.
She's been super secretive as Sheik this entire time. I would imagine everybody, if even Link, can't keep up with her. And now all of a sudden she's ripped that apart, and now she's back to being Zelda.
And they're literally standing in the Temple of Time, probably, 30 meters from Ganon's castle. So
That too.
There are windows. It's not odd for him.
He just looked down out of one of his windows into one of the temple windows and was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
there she is."
Oh, look, Zelda.
Oh, hey, Zelda.
Let me. Yeah.
And I think he even has a line of like, "I knew if I let this kid run around, like you'd show up eventually." Which goes back way back. We talked about this in like one of our first episodes this season about like, how Ganondorf like has been letting Link do a whole lot when he could have stopped him like right in the beginning. And this is where he basically reveals that the reason he's been letting you run around, move about the country is because he expected that at some point you would reveal the location of Princess Zelda to him. Zelda was so good at hiding that she was able to evade him for all this time.
And there's also a line later that comes into play that he had no clue who actually was the host of the Triforce of Courage or Wisdom. He was, trying to find them.
So Zelda pops up, "Hey, by the way, this is where they both are." And Ganondorf's like, "Aha."
I got you both in the same place.
Except he only captures like, one of you, though. Like,
well, yeah, but Link's not gonna go after Zelda. And he's gonna go off somewhere.
You think he traps Zelda just to get Link to come to the castle on his own?
Pretty much. Even though I don't know. I'm sure he knew Link was going there anyway. But now it's like extra hostage situation.
Yeah, I've heard the argument that
he's a smart man.
It makes sense. Like in terms of if you compare it to like Wind Waker. It kind of makes sense, but like he couldn't just put Link in a crystal because Link had the Master Sword and would be able to just like cut the crystal with it. Because like in Wind Waker they put up the big barrier around Hyrule Castle, but once the Master Sword is back to full power, you can cut through it. I think the argument is it's the same kind of magic, basically dark magic. Like you now have the light arrows and the Master Sword. I almost wonder if Zelda still had the light arrows. And she got put in the crystal, if she could just pull one out and like tap the glass. Just watch it. Should have kept one behind.
I wonder if there's a point to the argument that maybe Ganon was just so overconfident in his own power at that point and drunk on his own like Triforce power that he didn't think Link was even worth capturing, and he only cared about Zelda. Like when he says this kid as like you're not even a threat to him at that point, he doesn't see you as a threat. So maybe he just didn't care. He just like, I'm just going to put all my energy into Zelda, not split it off. There's not going to be any trouble. Just going to grab her, get out. And then he thought that would just be the end of that. And if he shows up, then I'd knocked him down 7 years ago, like onto the ground with barely the push of my own palm energy. So that he would just like eviscerate him as soon as he got there. Wouldn't even have to worry about it. But then you come up. You pull up.
You come in hot.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't expecting you to just show up on the scene like that. You come on over, and the sages are like, "All right, Link, this is how we help," and they set up the Rainbow Bridge. Yeah, it's that old school Nintendo Rainbow Road. It goes right from the cliff edge up to the castle. It's kind of funny. I don't know. I think it's kind of cool because like the rainbow is actually like on the sides of it in the game. Last time I checked, and what I saw was that the sides have the rainbow, but the center that you actually walk on is just plain white. Which kind of just goes back into that whole color theory of like, this is a light bridge. It's not a rainbow bridge. It's a light bridge. It just happens to be made up of a rainbow.
Convenient.
Because, it's all the components of light.
It's pretty epic, too, because it's like all spiky and there's like posts coming out. It's like, bro, sages, like, you guys are dark, man. Like, this is supposed to be a light bridge, not like a bridge that's literally supposed to probably be the bridge that looks at Ganon's castle. Like, if there was to be a bridge at Ganon's castle, this would fit the bill. I'm like, why didn't the sages just make like a nice little daisy bridge or something?
I'm so confused. But okay.
It's like when you begin your adult adventure, you start at the Temple of Time, and this is like right in the backyard of the Temple of Time. So I just like that. I've always liked games where like close to where you started it is also where you end it, or even in some kind of context.
Yeah. I guess that'd be a good segue. I know that early concepts of this game, I don't remember if we talked about this when we did the Forest Temple or not, but they were originally going to have Ganon's Castle be a hub world. like kind of like Bowser's Castle, where you would go in and go through paintings and all that. Like they were almost going to reuse the same concept.
I was going to bring that up.
Oh.
And so like basically like, you know, you'd be working your way through the castle the whole game. But they didn't go with that. They eventually switched it because they wanted to have it be like the open world feel that it ended up with, which, you know, I think was a better choice, but it also does kind of explain why everything, like why the end is so close to the beginning, because they probably like originally put the castle there being like, oh, well, this is all we really need. And they were like, wait, no.
Like,
flip the script on that.
Yeah. I was reading a little bit of an interview with Shigeru Miyamoto, and imagine like one of the rooms was just a giant dark meadow, similar to probably the forest area, and then similarly there was like an ocean, just a giant ocean area in one of the rooms, and it was just expansive, I guess. And I'm like, how do you fit that in a little castle? But it was the type of plan that they had for that.
Well, that would be a big castle.
Yeah, and I was like, that's so weird.
Or dimensional paintings again.
Exactly.
Ugh.
I just got the Mario theme in my head, like dum 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 dum. It's like Link jumping through paintings. Probably wouldn't have gone over quite as well.
He goes into the volcano. No.
Oh man. But yeah, we head on in, and we see like basically what this concept of a hub world became. Because somehow inside the castle there's like another set of barriers, I guess. And another like a force field like around the inner tower. And so what we need to do is go around this castle and one by one like unlock each sage's power to, I guess, get through. Like it's weird, like each one has like its own contribution to the force field, and as you free this like open up, I guess, a way for the sages to get into the castle to have influence, like they take down whatever corridor you went to, like they basically take that contribution to the force field away, so that it can all get destroyed in the middle. I think it's kind of funny that well, not kind of funny. It's just like, I feel like what they were going for was whole like absence of light, right? Like this is a dark barrier. So basically what you're doing is you're introducing all those different colors that you've already like restored to the temples. Then they kind of all come together, like basically to be like, okay, there's an absence of green. So you go in, you get the sage brings the green in, and like that's how you get rid of the darkness there. Everything about this, like, and it's funny because like,
color theory.
Y'all know, like, the color theory has just been bleeding into everything, man. It's gonna be over soon, though. But this is like one of the last statements I want to make about it, honestly, because it's, it's been a fun journey to study it and try to figure out theories based on it. But yeah, I don't know. There's like a whole bit about light and darkness, like, and I think what's kind of cool is that y'all play Kingdom Hearts. I know Cam has.
Oh yeah.
Just the first one. I don't care about all, I mean, like, listen, it gets crazy, and there's like what, a billion games now. I don't want to get into all the lore, but I do know that at the end of like the first one, Sora has this super cheesy line about how like, I get it, Kingdom Hearts is light, and like that's literally like the end of the statement. It's just like, doesn't really tell you anything about it, and then it's just like, whole thing is about light versus darkness now, and I don't know, like there's a lot of places where light versus dark is used. I mean, you see it in Star Wars, you see it in, like just all over the place. But I think what's cool about this game is that they took the time to like say, okay, let's break light down into its components and then try to come up with what we think best represents like what does it mean to be good? What does it mean to be the source of light, or to be like the light in this game, right? So like they came up with these key character traits or whatever, these key like I don't know, facets of what Link was going to grow into, and they kind of defined what light was. They're like, this is what it means to be the hero. This is what it means to have this light. And it's kind of cool. I don't know. I thought it was cool, but it's, it kind of avoids that ambiguity. It's like, no, here's exactly what we mean. So I don't know. I appreciated that.
Yeah, I definitely agree. They even introduced shadow into that light spectrum. Everyone needs a little bit of darkness for the full, complete, personality circle.
There can be no yin without yang.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Speaking of shadow, that was actually one of the first, rooms that I went into to destroy the barrier.
That is a smart tactic because that's where you're going to get them gloves.
Yeah.
You know how we just got silver gauntlets? We almost immediately turn around and upgrade them. It's pretty great. Oh, man.
I feel like they were unnecessary.
And you know what you can do once you knock that barrier down? They were totally unnecessary aside from the one thing you can do with them. Well, there's two things you can do.
They could have just let the silver gauntlets do that. They didn't need the gold ones.
No, but it's cooler. They're gold.
It is gold.
It's 14 karat cooler.
Yeah, and now you're the number one boxer in all of Hyrule, which means that you're totally ready to take on Ganondorf. He doesn't even have gauntlets.
That's right. Hand to hand.
You could literally lift Ganondorf up with one arm.
Oh man, but yeah, you can. I know you can go to the Fountain of Courage, like the Fairy Fountain of Courage.
Yeah, same one that we got Din's Fire, right? But just as an adult.
I guess so. Yeah, it would be the same one, wouldn't it?
Mm.
But yeah, we go back and before she gave us Din's Fire, and this time she I think back then they didn't call it the Fountain of Courage, though. I think it was one of the magic fountains or something. I don't remember what they called it. But now it's the Fountain of Courage, and you double your life force. Like, you basically double what your heart containers can do. Every hit you take now does half damage, which is ridiculous. Like, it basically makes fighting trivial now. Like, you might as well just be He-Man.
Oh, you're Knuckles? You mean Weenie Knuckles?
What?
Weenie Knuckle General.
More like soft Knuckles.
Iron Knuckles got arthritis. No, it changes the game. It's cool.
And you do gotta fight the double knuckle.
It feels good.
You do.
You do gotta fight you gotta fight the yin yang Knuckles, man.
Yeah, you do.
It's pretty great. Yeah, before we get to that main tower though, like, y'all, what was your favorite and least favorite, like, branches on this bottom floor? I can start if y'all want.
Okay.
I wanna oh man, that's actually kind of tricky. I do appreciate though that the light temple one is literally like you play the song and you go through the door. Like, you have to wait until you have the golden gauntlets to do it. But once you get in there, like, I think you have to fight one you do a little like silver rupee puzzle that's like nothing. I don't even think that's that one, but it might be. And then you play the song as if you're getting into the Temple of Time. And then they troll you because the first thing you come up to is like an empty sage room, where normally the other ones, like every other one you've been to, is there's been like this ball at the end that you have to shoot with the light arrow. And this one just doesn't have it, so you're kind of left standing there like, huh, where is it? And then like
where is that?
A wall master drops on you and sends you back to the beginning, but it's like takes you no time at all to recover that. It's just, to me, that was funny. Like, that was one of the one wall master I kind of like. I just feel trolled when I get hit by it, but I'm like, it's kind of funny to me. Like, it's kind of a good gag. I'm like, that was good, guys. But what you do, you can go in there, use the lens of truth, and you can see that you're actually in like a fake room, and the real room is one room forward. So you just run through it and get to the end of that. But I don't know. I thought that was humorous.
I got into that room and I saw it was empty. And I didn't even use the lens of truth, but I didn't remember what to do. But my first instinct was to just run straight forward. So that's what I did. And I just ran through the wall and went, I knew it. And then the thing was right in front of me. So I didn't even know there was a wall master because it wasn't in the next room. Or I walked into that room and shot the thing with the light arrow so fast that I didn't even see a wall master.
Yeah, it's fine. I think it's one of the ones that Navi doesn't warn you about. So like if you get stopped and you're just like looking at the room like what is going on here, it'll just drop on you and be like, all right, back to the beginning. But it's funny because the temple is like so small. Back to the beginning doesn't mean anything. Like you just go back through the doors, you know. Yeah, it's funny. For a while, my least favorite has been the shadow one.
Yup. Couldn't agree more there, fans. Could not agree more.
It's real bad. The better I get at it, the more I like it, but I still don't really love it. Like, I always go in there and I'm like, oh man, not this one. You gotta like light the torch and run through it and fall off and start all over.
I agree with you, but I like the imagery in that one a lot more than most of the other ones. I just like the way it looks and like the detail they put into that one. But like, yeah, I agree. It's really annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is one of the cooler looking ones, but playing through it is like,
I'll pass if I could.
Yeah, right. Hard pass.
It'd be funny. You get in there and it's just like, all right, pick one to omit. Be like, Impa would be so mad at me.
I like the fire barrier, specifically because Link gets to use the golden gauntlet there, and he freaking chucks that dude like 60 feet, just slams on the other side. Yeah. Oh, that was great. When I didn't remember that was a thing, and he's just like, "Hoopsie daisy!"
Yeah, Link is like Mr. Multiverse in this game once he gets them golden gauntlets.
Yeah,
he just like cracks his knuckles and is like, "All right, back to work," and bends down and just like heaves it like it's a log in the like the Irish games. Man, he just chucks that thing.
He's like 10 tons. Guys, give me some room. I actually thought the fire was my favorite too, but because there was like a quote-unquote kind of cheat where if you put on the hover boots, the main platform doesn't go down, so it kind of makes it way easier than if you didn't know to do that.
Yeah, it's one of the coolest tricks they put in the game with the hover boots, honestly. Like, I appreciate that trick so much.
It just makes him weightless, basically.
Yeah, just here, though, because there's, like, the square blocks that still go down even if you're wearing them.
Yeah.
One word of warning for that, though, when you go to get the silver rupee, that's, like, there's, like, you know, you have to hook shot over, and there's the lava slug, and then a rock, and then a square platform. When you get over to that one, take the boots off. Like, just take them off. Because what you got to do, like, after you get that silver rupee, you got to jump back onto the rock. And Link don't jump if he's wearing the hover boots. So he'll just run back towards the rock and just, like, not actually get on top of it and fall. Because the rock doesn't have a ledge for him to climb. So if you take the boots back off, then he'll jump back onto the rock and everything will be fine. But what I found is that more times than not, it'd just be like, all right, time to get back to the mainland, and just, like, straight up fall into the lava, die, have to start all over. It's real bad. So just a word of warning.
Yeah.
What's your creature of the week, Cameron, in this dungeon?
Creature of the week.
My creature of the week for this dungeon is fire keys, because they are persistent.
Fire keys.
I was expecting you to say Iron Knuckles, but okay.
I was thinking about that, but I think I already picked Iron Knuckles in an earlier one.
Yeah, he did.
He might have.
The last one, he did Iron Knuckles.
By the way, I want this segment to continue into Skyward Sword.
Oh, it will.
Creature of the week. Oh, for sure.
I'll have a creature of the week.
Yeah. So, speaking of fire keys, did y'all know if you try to use Din's fire on keys, they just become fire keys and keep it moving?
I didn't know that.
No,
why did I know that?
Because I learned that.
I'm like the Din's fire master, and I didn't know that.
Link's just standing there doing this epic stuff, and the keys are like, "Thanks, bro."
What about an ice keys, though?
Guys, after you get the barrier down, that first room in the center tower has like 8 keys in it. So I go in there, I'm like, oh, I got an idea. And like, they're all coming at me, and I'm like, all right, here we go. Din's fire. Suddenly I got 8 fire keys surrounding me. And I'm like, no. It did not go out as planned. It was real bad.
We have absorbed your power.
They're all like, thanks for the light, bro.
I wonder if you do that to an ice keys, if they'll die or if they'll turn into fire keys.
I don't know. It was not good. It was worst case scenario.
That's so funny they put that in the game. I'm so happy.
Yeah.
I did use Din's Fire 1 or 2 times through this, but I don't remember exactly where. But I did use it.
Din's Fire's legit, man.
I used it on the Knuckles. You know what I think my least favorite room is?
What's that?
It's definitely the water barrier.
The water barrier?
Like, yeah. I forgot this game pretty much, at least the end part of this game. I didn't really remember any of the barriers, and so I came back into it expecting, like, you know, the water temple. Mm-hmm. And I was presented with the freaking ice cavern, and I was not happy.
Yeah. I heard in a different, somebody else said this, that, you know how we talked about how the forest temple was originally going to be the wind temple?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it's one of the cool details about this place, is that actually kind of shows up in that branch as well. But just talking about what you're saying with the ice, like, cavern, I guess the water temple was originally going to be an ice temple as well. And that got changed over.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, what got left behind was the ice cavern.
Because it doesn't really make all that much sense when you think about it, that this cold wind blew out of the not at all frozen water temple from a boss who is completely liquid and made of kind of water as substance, but is not at all frozen or seemingly at a low temperature.
Right.
But it froze the whole domain.
Yeah, the source of this ice is the warm water over there. Wait, what?
Yeah, exactly.
The nucleus with missing his mitochondria froze over the whole Zora's domain.
Yeah. So like in this, they still have that kind of thing, and it's funny because when you go to, like I was saying before, like when you go to the like the Earth Temple, right? It's not even called Earth Temple, the Forest Temple side, like the Forest Temple branch, I guess. It's a wind puzzle. Like it straight up is like the wind turbines from that only showed up in this game in the Shadow Temple, yeah. But they were used for the Forest Temple branch, and what you had to do was use the hover boots and like get blown around to get all these silver rupees. So kind of cool that they at least tried to keep a puzzle in there from that. Like this is conceptually what we were thinking, and then decided not to because it's chaos because it kind of is. There's a lot of like judging how far you'll get pushed by a fan and stuff like that. So I think they just took an easier puzzle out of what was probably going to be a horrible dungeon and gave it to you like it at the end. I don't know. It just seems like a cool detail to me to be like, oh yeah, like this is probably what that wind temple would have been like if they had kept it a wind temple.
Yeah, you definitely have to think about everything you do in that room every little bit, because at one point I was just standing in front of a fan with my hover boots on, not even thinking about it, and it started to blow, but it starts out slower, so it didn't get me all the way to the platform, which had the final silver rupee I needed, and I just dropped and fell and had to start all over again, which then I wore the iron boots to stop myself from being blown, and then switched, and then got it. But I was like, that's annoying, just the fact that I had the hover boots on when I shouldn't have, and the fan didn't start blowing fast enough, I fell.
Man, that is rough.
You know what I thought was a nice touch in the forest barrier was how they had the 4 torches, kind of like a nod to the sisters.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, in the room with the woofos, there's like a blue carpet with the 4 torches that you gotta light.
Oh,
and it's like
that's one of the rooms I used in fire. I not only killed the wolfos, but I also lit all the fire at the same time.
Nice.
Yeah, it's like a nod to the sisters a little bit because there's 4 of them.
I didn't even realize that. Like I saw the torches, but they didn't look the same as the sisters' torches, so I didn't register them.
No.
There were 4 of them.
Yeah, but I mean it's
cool.
Kind of just like a little nod to them.
Yeah.
Well, there was also 4 carpenter guys, so.
Oh.
Nod to the carpenter. No, I'm just kidding.
Nod to the carpenters. Oh, man. Yeah. So
I also hate Bomba Chews.
you hate Bomba Chews? They gave you some more free ones.
Oh yeah, we were forced to use one.
Yeah, you had to use them in this place. For real, you had to use it. You had to like
Yep.
go up through a little like channel above you and back down and across, and that's fun.
I missed twice.
I don't know. I like that puzzle, even though it's you need the one item that you don't ever need.
It honestly took me a second, and I exhausted almost every other method before I thought, oh yeah, Bomba Chews, the thing that the game has literally never made me use, but now I am 100% required to.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I was like, can I shoot through it? Can I hookshot
The
through
game
it?
gives you no hints that that's going to be a thing. Like the whole rest of the game, they're like, this is a Bomba Chew. It's a new kind of bomb. And like runs across the ground. And like, be careful with it. But they never say like, hey, you're going to actually need one of these at some point. Like it's not treated like a special item at all. Like it's just treated as like a bonus item,
Yeah.
So when you get to this room, you're like, wait, I have to use the bonus item? Like you could very easily get here, not have any, but they do give you like a little, like you can hit a switch through the bars to get a treasure chest that has like 5 of them in it.
Oh, do they? Because I was worried that I wasn't going to have any when I opened my inventory. I was like, I never used these, but have I really gotten any? And I had like 39. I was like, oh, okay, I'm good.
Man, you haven't been using your Bomba Chews. They're like
Never.
They're like that consumable in the game that you just hoard because you never know. Like one day I might need these. I will keep all of them.
Yeah, right. The healing potions in a really hard game.
Turns out you don't need as many as you think you might.
Can you imagine if they had made a boss fight that was centered around having to use Bomba Chews to hit the boss on like the ceiling or like in a place that you couldn't shoot with the bow? That would have been brutal.
You could almost do that with the Goma fight, where instead of shooting the eye with a slingshot, you just have to Bomba Chew up like one of those pillars and hit her on the ceiling.
Yeah, in Majora's Mask, there's an archery range where you have to use Bomba Chews on off of a spinning platform, and it is the worst thing. Like,
oh yeah, I know that one.
Yeah. Luckily, that's not our next game. I would be that. It's going to be a logistical nightmare trying to figure out how we're all going to play through that one.
Just because of that one room, that one game, you're like, nah.
Because of that one mini game, I'm so grateful. This game is not much.
It ruins the whole experience.
The entire reason why I don't want to play that game right now is because I legit fear actual Bomba Chews.
Yeah.
The living ones.
Here we are.
They're horrible.
Game hopping.
All right, yeah, let's step back. So the barriers all break, right? Boom. And then the main shield surrounding the main tower is destroyed, and you can now climb up to the tower.
Yeah.
Ascend the tower.
First room, bunch of keys. Don't even have to fight them. Just run right past them, get out the door. Whatever. Bye.
Done.
You can fight them if you want, but don't use Din's fire.
They're already on fire, so.
Next room, I think, is Dinalfos, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Dinalfos, the reappearance of the Dinalfos.
Laughably easy.
Yeah, were there actually Dinalfos in the Spirit Temple? I can't remember. I don't know. I know that they're in the Gerudo training ground that we never talked about.
Is it Lizalfos or is it Dinalfos?
I think they were Lizalfos. Yeah, I think they were Lizalfos in the Spirit Temple.
That's what I thought too. There are Dinalfos in the training grounds. They're pretty sweet. They're like the upgraded version of a Lizalfos. They fight the exact same way, but they just like have blockier heads with spikes, and they look cooler. They kind of look like the like raptors or like
the one that spits.
The baby Godzillas from that one Godzilla movie.
Son of Godzilla.
Not that one. But
so we beat the poo out of these Lizalfos. These foos.
Yeah, we do.
These grown-up half-bit Lizalfos. No.
We go up to the door and go up some stairs, right? And then once we go through there'd be some Stalfos. Everything with the Fos. All the Foses.
Return to the Stalfos.
The lost dudes.
We haven't fought these guys enough times.
Fos Roda.
Once lost, but now they're found.
Yeah. So they're back. Some more Lost Woods victims who got transported to Ganon's castle, I guess.
They got lost.
Can you imagine like two adults?
They got lost in the forest barrier.
Like a couple, like imagine it's like a couple or something walking through the woods, just a man and woman on like their honeymoon, and then they just turned in the Stalfos, and Ganon's like, "Hey, so yeah, my castle, come here," and they're like, "Where am I? What am I?"
So what I'm imagining right now, you know that couple that dances around all the time?
Oh no.
I'm just imagining them like dancing really fast all the way through Hyrule, like Castletown, all the way in and into the barrier room before Link can get there, and then turning into two Stalfos and walking up to them in the middle. They're just like spinning in each other's arms the whole way up.
Oh my god.
Oh no. I
Rip.
had some a random dark theory thought about how, you know, Link's mom was wounded and she brought her all the way over to the Lost Woods to be raised by, I guess, the Great Deku Tree, and then died in the Lost Woods. There's a manga, I guess, somewhere in existence where she turns into a tree, which is like a really nice thought. But if, you know, mangas, they've never been considered canon, so it seems to me like any one of these Stalfos could have been Link's mom. So y'all can digest that.
There was a Stalfos that I think you get a small key from. It's just a lone Stalfos in the Forest Temple.
Mama!
That's dark.
Oh no. Well, one reason I would say that's probably not a thing is because like all the Stalfos that we ever fight have like the same armor and shield and sword, and I don't think Link's mom was a part of that particular militia. But I don't know, maybe.
You know, there's a theory.
You don't know her.
She's rolling with the Stalfos crew.
She's got a crew, a whole squad.
She loves that metal helmet.
There's a theory that I had saw somewhere where once this game is over with and Link goes into the Lost Woods to, you know, do whatever it is he was going to do as a kid, there's that whole Majora's Mask scene where he, quote unquote, dies. And I'm not going to go too much into it, but there was like a whole manga, like you were talking about, where instead of the Majora's Mask game, Link actually became a Stalfos, but because he was the champion of time, he became a sentient Stalfos that was in control of his thoughts. And yeah, that was like the basis of it.
You're talking about the hero Shade.
Yes.
Yeah, I've seen some of that too. I think I actually posted up a theory about that because the hero Shade, he actually has armor that has like a face on it, and I've heard people describe it as a bird's face, but if you ever look at any of the Skull Kids in this game, they all kind of have beaks. So I thought it looked like a Skull Kid, and like his armor actually looks like a Skull Kid. Like I think he might have fashioned it that way so that he could still live with the Skull Kids because they don't like adults, but he grew up, you know? But like after Majora's Mask, if he had just gone back and gotten lost, he probably would have been a Skull Kid. So that doesn't really make sense. Like, why would he still grow, you know? So I think he actually was able to live in the Lost Woods still, but in order for him to not be attacked by Skull Kids and still, you know, be friends with the one from Majora's Mask, I think he made that armor to look like a Skull Kid. That's kind of my theory on it. Like, I think that he became a guardian of the forest.
Yeah.
But like not as a Stalfos. Like I think he became a guardian of the forest, and then when he died, he became that Stalfos like character. Like I think that was just a part of him naturally decaying. Yeah.
The ending.
But he still had the armor though.
It's a cool theory though to like look at, because like they don't really. I mean, Hyrule Historia kind of goes into a little bit about what, you know, happens afterwards. There's a whole theory that Link and the Hyrulean forces and Zelda had fought off the rest of Ganon's forces to, like, you know, finish them off because they were revolting. But that doesn't hold up because Link was an adult there and he had like a marriage with Zelda, which doesn't make sense because we know he went back to being a kid. So
yeah, with this game, I am strictly not a Zlinker. Like I don't think that's a thing.
Yeah.
Zelda shows no interest in Link romantically whatsoever. And Link is he's basically wearing the stone mask all the time. So like, he doesn't show anything for Zelda either. Like, I don't think that that's a real story for this game. I think you know, our next game, like, you'll see the difference.
Possibly. Yeah. Yeah, it's a weird theory because it's like also it's split into 3 timelines in this game, which I think we should go over at the end, possibly.
Yeah, I guess. You know,
it is part of the story in a little bit, but let's just continue on, I guess, because we could talk about this forever. And so yeah, the Stelphos room happens, and then you go up some more stairs because there's lots of stairs in this tower. It is a tower.
We're in a tower.
And
tower boys.
We get to the soft knuckles.
The soft knuckles.
Yeah.
The bruised knuckles. No, I do like that it's yin yang.
So easy they soft.
Just goes back in that light versus dark, even though they're both going to try to kill you because they're both minions of the dark, but they for some reason have the yin yang pattern anyway. They're like the most elite members of Ganondorf's forces. It's like the yin yang twins here.
They're just regular knuckles.
To the window!
To the wall!
To the claw!
To the crang.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. To the claw!
Oh, man.
There's a fun thing you can do in this fight. If you have the Bigoron sword and you do the full rotation of your analog stick and hit the attack button and you do that pseudo spin attack that doesn't take any magic power, you can hit them before they're close enough to attack you. And then they'll get knocked back, and you can kind of take a step back and do it again and keep doing that, and they won't even be able to start and attack the entire fight.
Big Goron sword OP, man.
Big Goron sword OP. It's true.
That's the real Evil's Bane, man. That's a you had to go earn that light.
Right? That. Just imagine, like, all the dude that made the Master Sword and all this stuff. And then you just see this giant Goron standing there with a big smile on his face, like, yeah, man's bad. Evil's Bane. I
had eye drops, man.
Yeah, I made this toothpick. Check it.
Mine can cut rocks. I made that's a good toothpick, ain't it? I knew you'd like it.
Oh man, I do like that the Gorons are like the dwarves of this game, like the ones that are like really good at forging.
The iron dwarves, yeah.
Live in the mountain. They don't really hoard any treasure, but they got the other 2 things going for them: living in mountains and being really good blacksmiths.
And eating rocks.
And eating rocks like dwarves do.
That's right.
Not just any rock, the best rocks,
but not bombs.
No, don't.
Those are flowers.
Those are the special crop.
Or spiky rocks.
Yeah, don't eat the spikes either.
Yeah, we don't want the spiky rocks.
So we defeat Yin and Yang here, and then we can move on. I think.
Then we get the boss key.
Do we get the boss key from them?
We actually get it from the Stelphos.
We get the boss key from the Stelphos, yeah.
Oh,
it's all good.
Well, that's anticlimactic.
The boss key.
This is yin and yang.
Can we just talk about that? In this level, the boss key means absolutely nothing. There's no reason for there to be one other than tradition. Like, why?
Yeah, and this is also the only dungeon that doesn't have any small keys in the adult section whatsoever. I don't even know why they felt the need to put the boss key in a dungeon that doesn't have any small keys in the adult section.
I think
it doesn't have any keys.
Doesn't it? I think it has one. I think it has one key. I think that invisible chest thing that we were talking about with the invisible keys and stuff like that. It wasn't actually, yeah. There's just invisible enemies. We had to take them all out. I think the chest that drops is a small key.
Was there one small key?
I think there was at least one. I think maybe just one.
Oh, jeez.
But it's so silly. Like, why? Like, Ganondorf's like, oh, all these temples have boss keys. I want a boss key. I'm a boss.
No, he had it installed the other day.
It's literally just a long hallway with rooms on the way. It's like, what? There's nowhere for you to get lost or need to explore. Why
you can't get to it without killing the enemies before it anyway. Like, you kill the yin yang knuckles, and then the door opens. Like, the door unlocks, and then you get in there, and then you unlock another door as if there was like some puzzle to solve. Like, there wasn't. There was no puzzle. You just go in.
Nah, it's just Ganondorf literally contracted the construction guys before they headed over to Garrity Valley a couple years ago, had the door installed. He's like, I really want one of these things.
Somebody bet the team that made this game that they couldn't use the unlock chain sound like 50 times, and they're like, yeah, okay.
Bet you can't work that sound effect in a few more times. Bet you I can.
Watch us.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, so we get to that boss room and we find pots.
Props to the music.
Pots and pots and pots. And we don't find Ganondorf, we just find lots and lots of pots. Because we're still not to the actual boss room yet. Like, we're in the technical, like, basement of the boss room. And if you look up, it's just a floor right now. Like, above you. It's a ceiling to you now, but it will be the floor later. So then we go through another door. And then we go up more stairs. And then we go into the actual boss.
Wait, hold on. These stairs are great. These stairs have really nice windows, and it goes up at different ways than the other ones. It's like got a flat section.
Isn't it like stained glass? Nice. Like it's all colorful.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's funny because like there shouldn't be that much sunlight coming through the windows because every time you're outside anywhere near Ganon's castle, it's all overcast black clouds. Like there's. Like, where is this light coming from? Is this sage light?
Yeah.
Like, what is happening?
No, Ganondorf has... It's just fake windows. Ganondorf actually has LEDs installed behind those windows. Just bringing an ominence in.
He's like, I don't support fake doors, but fake windows. That's where the future lies.
Oh, man.
Just got candles behind those windows, just shining in.
When I go up to my organ room, I want it to be like a disco. That's what I want.
Speaking of that, Sebastian Ganondorf Bach over here.
Right? We enter the room, my dude is just playing the piano. Like, well, you know, it's a huge pipe organ, but, you know, it's pretty fantastic. It's just like classic villain stuff. It's like, oh, did you know that I was classically trained in the organ?
I've been waiting for you, and in the meantime, I was practicing my piano.
I've had 7 years to do this.
You really should learn an instrument, Link. It's a good life skill to have. He's like, I'm a pro ocarina player. What are you talking about?
A real instrument, Link. Come on.
He pulls out the ocarina, plays Song of Storms, and all the pipes fill up with water. How dare you?
That's what made him mad.
Oh, man. Just to imagine, like, he was trained in, like, music theory in the hopes that one day he would have a magical instrument that could do all the things. Because he was after the Ocarina of Time. Like, and now we know he would have been able to play it. I don't know. It's just silly. Like, you walk up with your little blue recorder.
They're so powerful.
It is. It does so many things.
I think it would just look really funny to see the giant, intense, evil face of Ganondorf playing the Ocarina of Time. Especially if I think about him doing, like, the little, like, back and forth, left to right, forward bob that Link does while he's playing.
Oh, man. Look at little Ganny getting into it.
You Ganny poop. Are you playing this every time?
You feeling the music, Ganny? I'm done. I can't. I wonder if there's any link to the composer brothers in this. Like, you know, he's playing the pipe organ. He probably wanted that song to move the days ahead, like, you know, to play on his organ. But
it hasn't been 7 years for me, Link. It's been 36 in-game hours.
Oh my God.
I found the sun song.
Sun songing away. Thanks for opening that grave for me, Link. I was finally able to find it.
Yeah. So the battle begins.
Yeah, and before the battle...
Yeah, there we go. Go ahead, Anthony.
Well, I was going to say, so Zelda's still trapped. He's talking nonsense about evil, and he shows you the power of his stupid power Triforce, and he's like, I'm going to erase you where you stand, Link. And then he tries to shoot this purple wave at you, and Link's standing there like, oh no, I'm trapped. The evil power, it hurts me. And he looks like he's so uninterested with this purple wave. But Navi's like, I can't get to you, Link. Oh, God, it's too powerful. And I hated that because you couldn't Z-target the whole fight. It's like apparently Navi's only power is Z-targeting.
That's a
It's
real way she helps you is with the Z targeting.
Yeah.
No, it's funny because yeah, like I think when you first get into this room and he's playing the piano, like he's playing the organ, there's this really like awkward moment where Link like looks around himself and he gets fully healed and his magic gets filled up. So not sure what that's about. I wonder if that's the song that Ganondorf was playing. He's like, yo, I'm gonna go ahead and give you a little boost just to make this interesting. Like,
You gonna need it.
go ahead and get healed. And then yeah, it kind of goes into like, didn't expect you to be the one, you know, this powerful, whatever. I guess I underestimated something and something, whatever, evil, like you were saying. I think one of my favorite lines is when he's like, these toys are too much for you. Give them to me now. And then he like blasts you with dark magic. And now he's like, my Z targeting. And then, you know.
My Z targeting. Oh no. Whatever will you do, Link? You can't beat him now.
She literally apologized, like, I won't be able to help you because of the dark magic. And then right after she leaves, the dark magic stops, but she still can't help you because the dark magic. Except for when you hit Ganondorf with a light arrow, because that's part of this fight, then suddenly she can see target again.
So actually, Ganondorf was waiting here because he really needed a ping pong player.
What? Yeah, he's like, I'm dying to play some racquetball.
Yeah.
He also wanted to play Don't Break the Ice, too.
Yeah.
Extreme Don't Break the Ice.
And he really likes those movies where the super strong guy hits the floor really hard.
He does the
So
superhero
he throws
land.
that in too. Yeah.
Sends a shockwave around the whole room, just busts out a donut out the floor. You're like, pretty cool, huh? Like, one of the things that like gets me is if you don't get off, like if when you finally do some damage to him, because I mean the process kind of goes, you know, you play. There's actually a name for this. It's called Dead Man's Volley. Like, so I don't know who named it that, but that's I guess what it's called. Like, since Girahim played it with you in Link to the Past, like that's the name of this game. So he plays Dead Man's Volley with you. You hit him, then that gives you an opening to hit him with a light arrow, which is one of the harder parts of the fight. Is actually just switching out to the bow and getting the shot off, unless you know you got motion controls, in which case it's whatever.
Yeah, it's really easy.
I find I like shoot through his cape a lot and get so mad. I'm like, it should count. It's part of his clothing. It should count. But yeah, you hit him with the light arrow, then he goes, oh, and he like falls, and at that point you can see target him, and you can actually hook shot over to him and just beat the snot out of him that way.
And there's in the 3DS version, there's a really cool animation when you hit him, like the light lights up all around his body and then like kind of comes out and then goes back in and like explodes a little, like that's shines cool. Really bright, and then he falls to the ground like
nice.
And then you hop over there and slash away.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, it's a pretty good fight overall. Like, I like it.
But it's kind of anticlimactic with how, like, he's gonna tear you apart. He's so vicious. And then he just floats up in the air and takes a ball of energy and just throws it at you mildly fast. It's not like, slow, but not fast.
It's like, these toys are too much for you. Give them to me. Hey, remember Phantom Ganon? Yeah. All right, we're just gonna do that. It's like, wait, what?
That's what I got, man. That's what I got.
You think he would have learned from the Phantom Ganon fight? And I feel like Phantom Ganon, even because it was such a closer engagement, it felt harder than this one.
Yeah.
And I had the Big Goron sword this time, so longer swing.
Yeah. One of the things about this one that gets me every once in a while is after you're done hitting him, when he gets back up, if you don't get off of that center platform fast enough, he'll do another like superhero landing. And if you're on that middle platform, your house will get wrecked. Like it's a bad place to be. Like you want to get off the platform.
My house got wrecked.
Yeah, you want to hit him a few times and get off. If you ever have to go down to the bottom floor, he'll give you all kinds of trouble trying to get back up too. He is a rude fighter.
Oh, I've never went down there.
No, yeah. I didn't go down there.
Yeah, if you don't have to, I wouldn't. He's very annoying.
But there's pots down there.
I know. And they're not even, they don't even give you like what you need half the time. They're kind of frustrating. A lot of them are empty.
It was magic and arrows. That's what I got. Magic and arrows. Welcome to the pots. Get your magic and arrows.
Yeah, technically, magic and arrows is all you need for most of this fight.
I didn't get a single fairy. I didn't get a single heart, even though I was at full, so I suppose hearts would be bad.
Yeah.
So,
and if he does that smash, he'll actually knock off more blocks around the edge. But one quick way to get off is you can actually just hook shot to any of the windows around the room. So you can pretty much just like leave.
confirmed. Windows are fake, made of wood.
These wooden windows with the LEDs behind them.
That's right. Tired of your lies, Ganon.
He's like, I am the king of darkness. However, I do like a little bit of light. I need to be able to see.
But only light that I make.
LED light, and specifically natural sunlight. No, LED light.
You keep that sun stuff away from me.
There's actually a strategy involved in beating him with standing in the center that you were mentioning. But when you stand in the center, instead of just standing there, you actually fall back onto where Link's climbing up it, like he's about to drop down, and you can actually avoid that attack. And then you're so close, you can just climb back up after he does that attack, the superhero landing, and you can stun him again and just repeat that process and just destroy him.
Like when he does the attack, you just hit him with a sword, or do you have to?
The light arrow, and then you just.
Oh wow!
And then you just go back to beating him up again, and you don't really. You can skip the volley phase.
Oh,
but you need such
so
impeccable timing. I didn't try it, but I saw it on YouTube. Because you need such impeccable timing, like you need to be climbing up as the attack is faltering, like the shockwave thing. Because you need to get your bow out quick enough to shoot him, and then, yeah.
So it's really hard.
But you can beat him in around 30 to 45 seconds with that technique.
I did do enough damage that I only had to volley with him twice, the first time and the second time. Like, I just did all jump slashes the second time and took him out, like, right away.
Oh, nice.
But I didn't know you could do it just, like, before any of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. Well, you still got to get him down the first time, so you would need to volley him once, I think.
Oh, so a one cycle.
Yeah, but then once he's down, you just repeat the light arrow process, and he can't do anything.
I almost want to try this, but I know I'm gonna mess it up a lot.
Watch YouTube videos before you actually like try it, so you can get the vibe down. Because I tried it and I couldn't even backpedal to get to Link climbing. Like, I suck at doing that.
Yeah, take off them light boots, bro. Or those hover boots. Man, I gotta stop calling them light boots. They're not light boots, guys. Why do you keep saying that?
No.
Well, I mean, they are like white and glowing, so they are like light. They make their own light.
They're buoyant boots.
They're buoyant boots.
They got that air buoyancy.
Yeah, they got that air buoyancy.
Nice. Them helium boots.
But only for like a second or two. With a recharge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So so we go ahead and just repeat this process until Ganondorf is officially dead. And by officially dead, I mean like not actually dead, but you know, he's like coughing up blood that is green if you have a version that's past 1.0, but it was red originally. And he goes back into like how he feels like he underestimated like you, and then he kind of backpedals and is like, no, I underestimated that Triforce of courage that you have. Basically saying like, I like he's in disbelief that Link could possibly be this strong. Like he's like, no, you have the Triforce of courage. That must be it.
It wasn't him.
Because he's not a fan of you, but he is a fan of the Triforce, you know?
Yeah. Still underestimating Link.
Right? And then he decides he's going to bring the house down.
Ganondorf used self-destruct.
Yup.
It was super effective.
What gets me about this scene is you see the windows, you know, the wooden windows and the LEDs and the floor and everything just crumbling away with this explosion.
All the electronic pieces.
Yeah. But Link just standing there fine. Everything around you is destroyed. And Link's like, that's some power you got there, son. like what?
He's like the meme with the dog in the fire. This is fine.
Yeah, exactly. He's just standing there.
He withstood the blast with his golden gauntlets, bro.
No. He just punched the blast.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh man, was that the best punch you have? Come on, knock all the windows out the place. That's not gonna knock me over."
I just didn't get it. I was like,
I don't remember how Zelda gets released because I don't even remember her being here during this fight. But I guess she shows up released now.
yeah, I'm pretty sure when Ganondorf, like, you see his like cape is in tatters and he looks super unbuff and sickly, and then he just falls over, and then Zelda like walks over. I'm pretty sure randomly is like, "Hey, we gotta leave," and I'm like, "Okay."
And this is where Zelda reveals her true colors. Like this scene right here is like the worst. Making this escape from the castle. Listen, like I remember when I was a kid, somehow like this gave me a ton of trouble. As an adult, I'm just like the only thing giving me trouble is Zelda. I'm sorry, but like I'm like you give me 3 minutes to basically run through a bunch of hallways and kill 2 Stalfos. I'm like, I can do that in 3 minutes, no problem. But every time I'm like getting to a door, like Link gets like glanced by like a rock or like a little bit of fire or something, and Zelda just stops in her tracks and goes like has a panic attack. I'm like Zelda, I have like effectively 40 hearts. I'm okay. Can we just keep it moving, please? Like, why?
I don't remember having her do that to me at all. I got hit by 1 rock, and she didn't do anything.
Oh, normally she stops moving and like has to have a short like gasp in terror at you taking damage, and then like you continue. I'm like, what happened to Sheik? Sheik understands. Like we get hit. Like this is normal.
Damage happens.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But the other thing about it is that I guess whenever there are bars over a door, she can just like do the YMCA dance and like lift them off the door. Like, yo, that would have been real helpful. Like all throughout this game.
Yeah, like you should have just been coming with me as like player 2 the whole time.
Yeah, I got some big pockets, yo. Like you could have just like chilled in my inventory.
I got bottles, girl. You want to be in a bottle?
Oh my god.
My goodness.
Little chibi Zelda in the bottle.
Yeah, right? Like the princess from Majora's Mask is way too big to be in the bottle, but fits in the bottle.
Yeah.
You have a Sheik in a bottle.
Listen.
Link has magic that anything he touches could be shrunk.
Hey, Sheik, you see these bars here? I can't get them open. I can't figure it out. Can you just... Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I got
Removing small keys.
50 bombs, 50 arrows, bunch of these Deku nuts, 30 Deku sticks, just in my pockets, you know, a Megaton hammer chilling somewhere. I'm pretty sure I got
What about 30 bombs and 40 Bombachus?
Yeah, right? I got a Easter Island head that tells me when there's a secret.
3 tunics.
Yeah, 3 tunics. three shields.
Yeah, 2 spare sets of boots. Yeah.
A couple extra
I'm
swords.
sure I could fit a Sheik in here somewhere.
You remember that sword I swung around when I was a kid? Yeah, I got that right here. I don't know why, but can't use it.
Man.
Still has the boomerang.
Leave it at home? No, why?
I got the infinite pockets. Like, what are you talking about? Leave it at home.
If anything, I'll just put it in a bottle.
Lucky I don't put Epona in these pockets, man.
Yes. I'm going to try to put Epona in a bottle next time I play. Just stand there and spam the bottle for a second.
Why?
Dude, I kind of wish.
I play a song for a cow to get the milk when I could just carry the whole cow. This is what I'm saying. Whip it out, get a drink, put it back.
I was actually thinking about Epona, that they missed an opportunity to use her and have another epic like jumping scene in this game. I was fully... What is this light bridge crap from the 6 stages? All right, I want to see an epic scene like Shadow of the Colossus, where like Epona like jumps Link over the like Hyrule Castle and maybe makes it, and or just falls into the chasm below, and it's all like, no! probably like something epic, man.
You want to lose Epona?
But
I mean, he doesn't have Epona when he goes into the forest anyway, does he?
I'm sorry,
Or no, he
Anthony.
does.
Yeah, he does.
I want to be on board with the epic side of this.
All right, then Epona
But
makes
the
it.
fact that the example that you used was losing aggro from Shadow of the Colossus, like nobody.
Well, that's what it reminded me of.
Nobody else I've ever talked to has ever said, "Oh yeah, you know that scene where your horse dies? I wish they put that in more games."
It made me sad. It was effective in what it did.
Oh man, I just want to feel something.
But they could have still had the light bridge, but it just didn't go far enough. And then Epona's running onto the light bridge and does the final jump.
Oh man, if they made like a straight up like rainbow road, like it wasn't like imagine the castle, but it's like
Rainbow track.
another like 3 miles out over the lava because there's just a lava ocean now, and like
That'd be cool.
basically the sages are like, we'll get you there, like, but you got to make it, like, we only have a limited amount of time, and like basically you jump on the horse and start running down this rainbow bridge, and it's like extending as you're running, and then suddenly it's like, we're running out of energy, Link, you got to get there, and then like it peters out or whatever, and then Epona just makes the final jump, and it's like this big slow motion scene of,
That's what I'm talking about. It'd be so epic. But nah, just a light bridge.
there's like some heat flare that shoots up from the lava right as you're doing it too, just to make it look cooler.
Hashtag Epona screen time.
We're talking about
what
something
we
I
need.
don't think the N64 was capable of.
You just
mean-
reduce the resolution. That'd be fine.
I mean, you're since we're on the next part,
70p.
Like, it starts off looking real crisp, and then by the end of it, you're basically playing Minecraft. Well, we ran out of processing power. Sorry.
One the
Well, I mean,
pixel. Two
You saw the
pixel.
processing power that it took to make the castle walls and stuff fall over. Looked real crisp, didn't it?
And like how it was just like a reverse telescope that just disappeared into, itself, I guess.
It's like, oh, the building's falling and like stuff's coming out the main door, and it's just like down, 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 down. Stop.
And now we have a gladiators arena. Like that's what you end up with. It all smashes down to a flat battlefield, basically.
And it's too quiet.
Yeah, I think Zelda even is like, oh, it's over, or something like that. But then, like, it kind of cuts into you having control of Link again, and you're just there on the platform with no direction or explanation of what you're supposed to do.
Well, I think there was a sound, wasn't there, from the rubble?
There might have been, like, a little rumble or something, and then you both, like, look over.
Yeah.
But you don't have to,
She
like,
gasps.
you can stand there with Zelda for a long time and not activate this fight. I mean, to me, that says this is the alternate ending right here. you just stop playing. Like, all right, I won. I'm done. Reset the game.
If I don't go over there, Ganon won't wake up.
He does more than wake up. He just straight up bursts up onto his feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hulk arm style. Whoo!
And it actually is Ganondorf at first, isn't it?
Yeah, he comes up as Ganondorf.
He's like buff again, and
he's all mad and he's screaming, and then suddenly
he's like All Might. He's got the one for all.
Yeah, pretty much looks like All Might the way he pops out of that.
Because like when he's dead for the first time, when he does self-destruct, he looks skinnier and all tattered, like the All Might that's lost his power, and then he's buff again. He's like, oh, I'm buff again.
Plus Ultra.
and then he explodes into Ganon. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Now he's really big.
Ganon is like the devil from y'all ever seen Legend? It's this real weird movie from like the 80s starring I think Tom Cruise
Nah.
as basically like a Link-esque character, but he's it's real weird. I mean, I don't remember the last time I actually watched it, but it wasn't what I thought it was when I watched it again. Because I'd seen it when I was a little kid, and I was like, oh, I remember this movie kind of. Let me like, it was like in the $5 bin or whatever. I'm like, let me get this, and I take it home and I watch it, and I'm like, what on earth am I watching? Like a whole thing about unicorns and this just big red devil dude, but basically he has like the same horns as Ganon here. He pretty much has the same body shape as Ganon here. I think the only difference is the dude in the movie had like hooves for hands or something and was all red. whereas Ganon's like this weird green color and stands like 4 times the height of Link.
And he gets 2 swords out of nowhere.
Yeah, he pulls out 2 swords. I mean, he basically like
2 magical giant schmatars.
Yeah, big pig boar man, bear pig.
Man, bear pig. Yeah, honestly, they did a really good job.
That should have been
You
his
ever played-
descriptor. Ganon, man, bear, pig.
That would have been hilarious.
That I would have I would have died. That would have been too much.
But they did a really good job at actually. He looks basically like a 3D cut of Ganon from The Legend of Zelda.
Yeah, do you remember what they actually gave him as his title?
Have you ever played that game?
I haven't played the original, no. I still gotta do that. I've played it, but I've never gotten past like maybe the forest temple, like the tree. Never got past the tree one. Like I think I beat that and then was like, I don't know where to find the next one, and just stopped playing. Yeah.
Yeah, he looks pretty much like the same thing.
But now big in 3D.
But his actual title? No, actually, I really only remember Ganondorf, or not Ganondorf, Ganon coming over the screen. Did he have a title?
I don't know. I don't remember now.
I'm pretty sure, because I just played through it. I'm pretty sure that I literally just saw the white text. It said Ganon.
Nice.
Speaks for itself.
Like at this point, he doesn't even have a title. He's just Ganon.
Yeah, one of the funny things about this, if you lock onto him and then like activate Navi's like, you know, Pokedex feature, she's basically like, Ganon, like, honestly, I don't know what his weakness is. But she will lock on
I'm at a
his
loss.
tail if you get behind him, because that's his weakness. So she actually does know, but, you know, the game makes it seem like it's, you know, you gotta figure this out for yourself, I can't help you. Still something.
I also love how in the beginning of the fight, she's like, he's not using dark magic now, so I can help you. And then like you target, she's like, I can't help.
Right? It's like, we'll do it together this time. It's like, oh, thanks, Navi. That's the nicest non-handholdy thing you've said this whole time. And then, like, you go to lock on and get some info, and she's like, I don't know, bro. Just hit him, I guess.
I got no idea. I'm out of ideas. I've been thinking real hard these last 2 seconds.
Yeah. So when he does start, after you get the white Ganon thing, he smacks the Master Sword out of your hand, I think. Like, almost immediately. Like, that might even be from the initial explosion that you lost the Master Sword. But either way.
You start off without it.
You start off without it. It goes flying over, lands in the ground right next to Zelda, and she just kind of, like, has another one of those gaspy moments of, like, there's a Master Sword here. Like, what? Like, can you get it for me, though? But can you get it for me, though?
Like, yo, throw it back.
Like, throw it over that fire, though.
Like, if your magic can lift the bars off a door, I'm sure it can get the Master Sword out of the ground. Like, come on. What are we doing?
Sheik would have thrown it back.
So you do the whole first part of this fight using the light arrows that you were given. At least you can use light arrows. You don't have to. But it makes it real nice because if you hit him in the face with a light arrow, he gets all kinds of stunned and you can run around and just get some free hits on his tail.
You know what I did?
What'd you
do? Take a wild guess at the first thing I did to him.
You did Din's Fire.
I had to go out with a bang, guys. It actually stuns him so you can get behind him, but it takes way too much magic, so I only used it once.
Ganondorf transformed into his final form. We need more power.
Oh, I got power.
Phoenix Fire Jutsu. Yeah. Oh my god.
I use Deku Nuts.
You use Deku
okay.
Nuts? You can stun him with those?
Yep.
Oh, nice.
You
If
can
you-
stun him with Long Shot, Din's Fire, Light Arrow, and Deku Nuts. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, wow. If you hit him with a regular arrow in the face, he kind of like shakes it off a little bit, but it gives you just enough time to like run around and hit him.
Oh.
But he'll stop and just kind of like, what was that?
Oh, yeah. That's what the Deku Nut does.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Light Arrow does like a real proper stun where he literally like gets paralyzed for a few seconds.
Wonder what the Ice Arrow would do.
I don't know.
If anything.
You'd probably shake it off.
I think he shakes it off the same way. The Light Arrow is supposed to be special. The Light Arrow is that light that's not the Light Temple power, but is like all of the sages' power, I guess. It's like, it's special light. There's there's light temple light, and then there's like the culmination of all the light, which is like the actual white pure light. That's all of them combined.
I have special light.
Even though on the Ocarina of Time it was like yellow.
Yeah, no, it definitely is yellow when you shoot stuff with it, but that's probably because if it was white, it would look real weird. Like, a lot of times you don't use actual white for light because it's just like doesn't film well, you know? It's just like, why am I shooting ghost arrows at people?
Yeah, I don't know. This fight was real easy though. Like, I was kind of unimpressed with how easy it was. I got to like half my magic from the light arrow stunning and Din's fire, and then I just started doing rolls under his legs and hitting him with the big Goron sword on his tail.
Especially if you have the big Goron sword, because then it's like, oh, you lost the Master Sword. Whatever will you do? I guess I'm just gonna have to hit him harder then, huh? It's like it's not even a problem. You're like, yep.
You know, that might be Evil's Bane, but this is everything's Bane.
It's like, I've lost Evil's Bane. I guess I'll have to use the delete stick. Gandalf's like, the what? You heard me program.
You ever see that big Goron up on that mountain? This is Toothpick.
That's his toothpick.
His eyes get big.
You just see Link fighting Ganon on with the big Goron sword on that pedestal, and it like the camera pans over to the Goron brother watching the fight from the mountain. He just has tears coming out of his eyes, like he makes it so proud using that toothpick.
Yo, it almost makes you wonder why Big Goron didn't do anything about Ganondorf. That dude
You probably could have just crushed him.
probably could have just come over and just toppled the whole tower, been like, yo, I'm out. I don't like this new regime.
Alternate ending. You go up to the big Goron and explain the whole story. And he goes over and just pushes the tower over.
He just like grabs the bottom, just grabs the platform and just like flips it over like an ice cream cone and just like smushes it into the lava.
Or he
It's
just
like-
super yeets it and it Team Rocket blasts away.
Yeah, basically.
That'd be hilarious.
Plays flip cup with it. Pwah! Get out of here. Man, you know, you think, you know, you give him those eye drops, you'd be like, I can make you that sword now. He's like, yeah, you could, but I got something better in mind. If you could just kick over somebody's Lincoln Logs for me, that'd be great.
And then, so yeah, the fight continues on, and eventually the fire wanes off when you hit him enough.
Mm-hmm.
I guess he gets weaker, and Zelda all of a sudden is like, "Hey, Link, this bad sword over here is over here for you to use. By the way, you want to use it?" And Link's like, I guess, you know, I gotta go get it. So you run over there, continue the fight. And then when you've hit him enough with the Evil's Bane, supposedly, out of nowhere, the game just stops. The camera pans over to Zelda, and she just shoots this like light blast out of nowhere. Like, couldn't you do this the whole time? And you were just like, what are you doing? You could have did this from square one.
Yeah, I think the explanation, at least just based on the context, is that like Ganon had to be pre-weakened before this would work. And also it took up like all of her energy to do it because she's like exhausted after doing it for like, I don't know, 7 seconds. She's just like deep breathing, stops. She's like, quick, cut him now before I run out of energy. And then she runs out of energy and you didn't cut him yet. But you can still go back over and do it anyway. I don't know. It's very confusing.
Well, I think he's stunned. He's still stunned. He's like, wow,
Yeah.
that was a lot of energy.
He's like breathing heavy too. Like he's like on the ground exhausted, like just trying to gasp for air.
And then you run on over and you give him the 1-2, now my sword's in you.
Hey, got this thermometer, just gotta check your temperature real quick. Just shove this up your nose.
Oh, it was pretty epic.
Yeah.
And then green blood goes everywhere.
It's yeah, it's extreme. And you know, he writhes in pain. Did you actually leave the sword in his face for that, or does Link pull it back out?
I think he pulls it out.
No, okay. That's good. That's a good thing. It would have been real. It would have been real gruesome if he was like screaming in pain with the sword hanging off his face.
I think it's
Oh, my
the
goodness.
spoilers Wind Waker ending where you leave the sword in Ganondorf's forehead and he turns to stone.
Yeah, that one's intense. That's what got the game a teen rating.
It was that scene.
It literally was.
Man, I thought it was. I thought it was Tingle.
If you go to the ESRB site, it's like Link stabs a monster in the head or something like that. Like it gives it some weird description to basically say he's not a human, but he looks like a human, but they call him a monster on the thing. It's like, this is why we gave it a teen rating, because it's so violent at the end, particularly. Yeah. I don't know. But yeah, so we did it. It's actually over now. Ganon has been well, he gets sealed away by the sages, I think is how that goes.
Yeah, not actually dead.
When he gets sealed away.
And he swears that when he comes back, he will wreak his vengeance upon the descendants. And he's got this really angry, creepy, almost smile, frown-looking everything face. I couldn't really tell.
I was confused by the face, too. It was a lot of feels.
He's just floating through the void, like, with anger in his pocket. But, yeah, he's like, curse you, basically, everybody, and then says he'll be back to come after y'all's descendants, like you said. Where is he? Do we know that? Do we know where he actually is? Because it's not the Sacred Realm. I don't think they would banish him there. Like, they had to put him somewhere.
He is in the Sacred Realm, but it's like a different part of the Sacred Realm. So, like, it's not the Chamber of the Sages.
It's the Sacred Realms. It's the dumpster room.
It's the dumpster room.
It's where they put all their ramen noodle cups.
Yeah, just throw them out back. Just throw them out back.
Took out the trash, man. Just toss them.
Yeah, just get them out of here.
Oh, God.
But it's fun. I mean, it just plays right back into that. Like, you can't actually, like, kill him. Because he's like he's like is the concept of evil, so like you banish him instead, I guess. But like I don't know, it just seems like you're asking for trouble because Ganondorf. I mean, from what we understand, he himself can banish things to the gap between dimensions. So like eventually, it just seems like he gonna find a way back out. Like, what's our long term plan? You know. But for now he's floating in the abyss. He doesn't know what to do with himself, so he's just angry. But he's gone. He's out of the way.
He's salty.
And then we get a scene in the clouds with Link and Zelda, because why wouldn't you be in the clouds? Like, no reason not to. No reason not to be in the clouds. I don't know. It just seems like they didn't have a setting prepared for this, so they just said, okay, sky, I guess. And basically, she tells you that, all of this was her fault. She was trying to control things that she didn't realize she couldn't actually control when she asked you for your help in the beginning. She had no idea that all this could have happened from it. So she apologizes, basically. She takes the blame for Ganondorf getting as far as he did. And it's kind of a cool scene. It's kind of, I mean, the thing is, like, She does end up taking the Ocarina of Time back and sending you back to your childhood to regain your lost time. Okay. Of all the things I like about this game, the ending is not one of them.
I have problems with this.
Yeah. And my problem isn't that, like, I wanted Link to stay an adult. I didn't want him to go back in time. But at the same time, I'm like, but he did all of this stuff as an adult. Like, you send him back in time. Like, if that's the only explanation you're going to give, like, you got to figure out, there's like a bunch of time travel loopholes that they pull here. Because, like, if you go back in time before this happened, then it shouldn't have happened. Like, like there's a lot of stuff here that just doesn't make sense. Like, I think
like Ganon is still alive in the past, technically, because that's how time travel works.
Right, like he never entered if you send him back as far as she does, because she sends him back before he even met her in the first place. Like, you find out, like, in the end credit scene, like, the last thing you get is Link arriving to Zelda in the first place. Which means it means, like, she sent him back in time to a time when the Deku Tree still died, I guess. Right? Because otherwise he would have never gone to see her. He wouldn't have had the Kokiri Emerald. Like, so Ganondorf would have still been there. but they play it as if like, no, he sealed away in the past too somehow. Like, he was just, he was in the king's room, like, kneeling down and pledging his fealty, and suddenly he just like got banished out of nowhere. Like, I just don't. There's a lot of loose ends.
There's a loophole no matter which way you try to think about it.
Yeah.
And I think this might have been done before modern time theory was a thing, possibly. I don't know.
In 1998, before modern.
I mean, I don't necessarily know how recent modern time theory with like all of that was actually created. I don't know if it goes far back, because I know Albert did some things on it, like quantum physics, but
yeah, well,
that was the
I think that
50s.
was that was definitely before 1990.
So
I don't know. It just seems like what they wanted to do. They didn't want to have us think about it too hard. Like, they didn't want to have to think about it too hard. So like, basically it's like they just did like this "you win" statement, and then they were like, and you can go back and live your childhood, for anybody who was like, man, Link got cheated of 7 years. And but
I think
don't know,
they
like,
should have
it didn't have to be that way.
kept him as an adult, because it's like the sacrifice Link needed to make to, have this happen, basically. The hero's sacrifice.
Twilight Princess ending, real ending.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it just seemed like you at this point the game just asks you to pretty much go with it. It's like, you won, you get to watch this celebration, and the celebration doesn't make any sense either, but we could talk about that too.
Yeah.
And so just be happy. The end. And it's not until they try to make sequels to this that it really shines just how messed up like this ending was. Like, this is I mean, eventually this became, Hyrule Historia's like official timeline. We're going to go ahead and branch into 3 different timelines now based on this game alone. Because there were so many different ways to interpret this, and they were all kind of broken. I don't want to be a downer on the game, but like, what are we even doing? I don't know. I've always been a little bit mad that like one of the timelines was the hero loses this fight timeline, because there's nothing in the game that would suggest that was gonna happen or whatever. Like, there's not. You don't play it and it's like you get an alternate ending if you lose. You just get a game over screen and you go back and try again. Like,
I think
you're gonna win it.
I think what they should have did, right, was Hyrule Okay, so this is based off the Hyrule Historia timeline. We obviously have adult era where Ganondorf is sealed and then he's reincarnated, and that takes place as the Wind Waker. That's that timeline.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have the timeline where he returns as a kid. He goes through the woods, and Majora's Mask happens. That's the same timeline as Twilight Princess.
Hey, you forgot the part where he steals Epona, because like, how do you get Epona as a kid?
Yeah, so
that
he
belongs
steals
to the
Epona. Just takes it.
He also gets the Ocarina of Time for whatever reason. From the way that's explained,
well, she gives it back to him.
Yeah, there's a line in Wind Waker 2 where they say that at some point the hero had chose to leave Hyrule to go do some other thing. Like, they don't. It's weird. It's like, it's right at the Tower of the Gods that this line just comes out of nowhere and blindsides you. Where they talk about the old hero of time and how he left the land. And when he did, he had to give back the Triforce of Courage. So he left it behind to go to Termina. So like, he gets rid, and it doesn't make sense because he wouldn't have had it. He wouldn't have had the Triforce of Courage because he went back in time before he had it. And then he did get the Ocarina of Time for some reason, which was like the Hyrule Royal Family's thing to have and to keep safe. And then he left with Epona. So I don't know. Maybe it was just
that was in Wind Waker
from Zelda. That line, the line that the Hero of Time left Hyrule and had to leave behind the Triforce, like that was in Wind Waker.
That's super interesting because that's in the separate timeline than Majora's Mask.
Well, yeah. That's why I don't like the timelines.
Yeah,
just throw it out there. Timeline theory is like seriously complicated and like broken.
Yeah, because there's that other timeline where the hero's defeated, but I just want to think that that's the timeline where Ganon is still alive, and it's the Decline of Hyrule timeline. So like, I like to think that when Zelda sends him back in time, he's still alive, and then there's the Decline of Hyrule phase where like, yeah, he can't get the Triforce because he can't open the door of time, but also he's still Ganondorf and he's still a jerk. So that's where like a Link to the Past happens, basically, where like there's still castles, there's still towns, but Ganon's like controlling. He's got massive army and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of like that idea too. I mean, there's like a whole. I think that it makes a lot of sense if Twilight Princess kind of runs off of that. Like, you go back in time before the door was opened, so Ganondorf can't get in there, so he never gets his Triforce of Power, which means that he plays the goody-goody Gerudo King, like, trying to basically stay under the radar for a long time before he decides to just straight up go for it, right? And then what's weird about Twilight Princess is when he does, he ends up having the Triforce of Power anyway. So, I don't know. There's, like, again, like, it all gets very muddled. Like, you can never really just make a direct line from one to the next. One of the ways that I've heard this explained that I really like, you know, this is the legend of Zelda, not the history of Zelda. You know, like, I like to think that every game we play is, like, a different story that's been passed down, but, like, not necessarily, like, one that's, I guess, completely like solid, like, you know, because they all kind of conflict with each other. You know, they have weird details that don't quite line up. Like, it's one of those things where like each story is like one of the critical stories. And the reason I like Ocarina of Time as much as I do is because like at some point in the history of 3D Zelda games, this was a standalone. Like, this was the history of Zelda because it was the only legend we had, you know. And so for that reason, like, I like it, you know, you can get real in depth just on this one alone and get a lot of cool things out of it. And, it's really fun to think about this way. I mean, this is part of the reason that, you know, aside from the fact that the HD, Skyward Sword is coming out, you know, we chose to do Skyward Sword next, but, another reason why I really like that decision is because Skyward Sword does a lot of, building a new foundation for new games. Basically it tries to go even before Ocarina of Time, which, you know, like, I don't like trying to make those two match up. Like, I don't like trying to say, okay, Skyward Sword is the precursor to Ocarina, like, because even that has, you know, conflicting stories and contradictions. So like, I don't love treating them like they're the same storyline. I like treating them as if they are like two different foundations for future games, I guess. Like, Ocarina of Time was the foundation that they built, you know, Majora's Mask and Twilight Princess and Wind Waker on top of. And Skyward Sword is kind of like the start of modern Zelda games,
like Breath of the Wild.
Have Skyward Sword and Breath of the Wild, and for sure Breath of the Wild too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, that's kind of my take on it. So like, I like doing these, like starting our podcast off with these two games because they're going to like seriously inform any other game that we talk about. And we're going to see that a lot of times it's kind of Venn diagrammy where it's like, okay, well, we can take this element from Ocarina and this element from Skyward, and we can explain different things about these other games using this base information. But at the same time, what we're going to see is that a lot of places it just doesn't quite mesh perfectly, and we got to like kind of dance around that. But I like that. Like, I like the idea of like trying to creatively connect all of these things because there aren't solid connections. Like I really think like, I would call it like Zelda multiverse theory rather than Zelda timeline theory, where like every story is like in a slightly different Zelda universe, but they all kind of imitate each other.
And even if you do consider them, you know, if you do consider them to be all in the same universe, you know, they take place hundreds of or thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of years from each other. Like not Skyward Sword. Breath of the Wild takes place. I mean, I think they said in game like the war was like what 1,000 to 10,000 years ago or something, and Hero of Time was like even further.
Yeah, there was something about um a great war that happened. I think, yeah, I think it was 10,000 years ago or something like that. But then like the most previous battle was 100 years ago or something. So like, yeah,
Yeah,
there's a
Link
bunch
was
of
sealed
stuff
for
like that
100
where
years,
it's
but it
just
was like
huge times.
hundreds of thousands of years. And Skyward Sword, like, I don't want to get too much in detail for specifically Cameron and everyone else who hasn't played it, but like, Hyrule wasn't a thing yet, so it's even further back than the history of Ocarina of Time preceded anyway. So,
Ruined. Don't want to know.
so like,
Play a different game.
yeah,
Let's play
it's
Dark Cloud 2.
Yeah, we got PS4s.
okay. So even if you want to do timeline theory, it's the games are so far spaced into of years apart, it doesn't even matter. You know, it doesn't even matter.
I don't own the Hyrule Historia, but when I look at the timeline for Zelda, I just kind of smile and nod, but I agree that, with what Fonzie said, that they feel like isolated incidents kind of telling a similar story of like a hero beating the bad guy, and in all the cases it's Link and Ganon. I don't feel like they need to have a chronological order or relation to each other unless it's very very explicit, and like Breath of the Wild and Breath of the Wild 2.
Yeah, I think the games inform each other. Like you can take a detail from an earlier game and be like, "Oh, that's probably like in the history of this world too," you know? But you can't I don't think you can be like, "Oh, Twilight Princess, like clearly all of Ocarina of Time definitely and most certainly happened right before Twilight Princess." No, it just doesn't make sense. Like there's too many things that have changed and just don't work that way. But I think that you can take certain details from Ocarina and be like, "Oh, like, you know, Link could have come from this lineage, or he could have come from, or like Ganon, you know, could have gone through this before he got to this point in his life or whatever." And basically you can kind of figure out like more backstory, but you can't just say, "Oh, like these are the same people. Like this is the same." Like, you know, it's not perfect. Like they don't just link up like that.
And that's why I like Skyward Sword for that reason, because it sets the groundwork for almost every game and why I mean, it doesn't set it because it came after, but it explains why we have each game and why each game is the way it is, why the characters are the way they are, sort of.
Yeah.
So that's why I really like that game.
Cool.
Cool to chew.
So let's talk about the celebration at the end of this game real quick, and then I think we can wrap it up, right?
Yeah.
So now that you've sealed away Ganondorf.
Stupid celebration.
Oh, yeah. It's basically a bonfire with a bunch of different colored flames. Don't know where they came from, but they kind of look like post-sister flames or something. Like, it's just super random. And everybody's here. And by everybody, I mean everybody from when you were a kid and everybody from when you were an adult. If they were the same person, then it'll just be one of them. But sometimes there's like weird things that happen. Like there are 8 carpenters rather than just the 4 that we assumed were the same ones the whole time. You know, we have, I don't know, it's just crazy stuff going on. We have like the Poe salesman, the bean salesman, and the magic carpet salesman all chilling on the magic carpet together. One of the things that kind of goes on is you see King Zora and Mito kind of sitting off to the side. This is all taking place at Lon Lon Ranch, of course, because it's the central hub of everything. But they're like sitting off to the side, all sad because, you know, the king lost his daughter and Mito lost his crush, I guess. You know, they were friends, even though they had their disagreements and stuff. But they're sitting there kind of sad, and you see like the blue and green sparks start to fall, and they both kind of look up and see all these balls of light kind of shooting through the sky, and they all.
Quick side note: can I mention Mito is not supposed to be at the ranch? Like he's a Kokiri.
Yeah, none of the Kokiri are supposed to have left the forest, but I guess the Deku tree is dead. So yeah, no, I don't know. I get one of the things that like I've kind of heard is that they were told that if they leave the forest, they'll die, but that's because they won't be under the Deku Tree's protection anymore, so they'll age. Which I thought was a wild theory. Like, I don't know if that's real at all. I don't really I'm not like 100% on board with that, but I thought it was a cool thought. So if there's no Deku Tree, there's really no reason for them not to leave every once in a while, but it's a dangerous world. So
The band of Kokiri that are like Robin Hood and steal from the rich and give to the poor.
yeah, the weird things that break the whole like logic of the Lost Woods and stuff. I mean, there's Melon bringing the cow to your house, and there's Mito going to the party at the end. It's like y'all breaking your own rules. But yeah, so they see these balls of light go through the air, and they're all the colors of the sages, and they all fly up to Death Mountain, and just kind of watch the party from up on Death Mountain, and literally from where Big Goron would be, except Big Goron is at the party, so he's not up there. It's just a lot. There's just a lot going on in this party scene. They're like celebrating the sealing of a evil king that none of them actually knew much about. But who cares? We got colorful flames, so we're gonna go ahead and dance. Yeah. I don't know. It's a fun scene. I'm pretty sure it's Saria's song and like everyone's jamming. It's great. But this is like one of those reveals of like, yeah, the sages are, even though you called them as an adult, like they're still sages now that you're a kid, which kind of goes back into that, like all the stuff that you did is just somehow still had been done, even though you went back in time. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. We find out that the sages are still sages. They still can't really interact with regular folk anymore. So they're, I mean, for all intents and purposes, they're kind of lost to Hyrule. They're the sages now. And, yeah, it's a little bit, it's like bittersweet because you're like, you won, you did it, you saved the world. But now you're like, you don't get to just be with your people anymore, you know? It's like
the friends we made along the way are dead.
Their new family is just the sages.
I've saved Hyrule, but what did it cost? 7 friends.
Y'all think Darunia got over his hatred for the Gerudo? Because you know how like you use the Gerudo mask and he's like, I hate Gerudo, but then he's a sage right alongside Nabooru. Do you think like he got over it?
I'm sure.
I think one of the coolest things about this game is that
or they're gonna fight.
Sage off.
I think one of the coolest things about this game is that as Link, like straight up, like you go across the broken bridge to the Gerudo Fortress, you become like you get a membership to their tribe, and then you know the bridge gets rebuilt, and like Hyrule actually kind of gets reunified. Like when you go to Ganon's castle, you're not going there as like the Hyrulean hero or the Gerudo hero. Like you go there with the power of like everybody, you know? Like there's this whole thing about the king having unified Hyrule during the Civil War, but like you can kind of see that Hyrule's not really unified. It's like clearly that thinking is a little bit false. But by the time Link goes to make this final battle, like he has effectively unified Hyrule, which is kind of cool. I don't know.
He's the new king.
He's the new king.
Yeah.
King Link.
Hyrule needs a king. One boy will step up to answer that call and then immediately get shocked back in time where he can no longer answer that call.
No, but he'd still be a king when he's a kid. Because time. Who knows how it works?
Yeah, because time, you know. I mean, everybody's lost without royalty. I mean, King Darunia is gone, and you know, Princess Ruto is gone, and okay. So one other thing I wanted to say, I know we're approaching that 2-hour mark, right? Y'all think it's cool how like all of the sages are kind of like, okay. So aside from Rauru, who's like old wise man, kind of just gives you like, hey, did you remember what a sage is? Like the definition of a sage, right? Like here's like a stereotypical sage, right? So you start out with him, but then like aside from Darunia, who comes from a race that's all dudes, like all of the rest of the sages are women. And not just that, but they're like basically the leaders of their groups. Like the name Saria literally means princess. And she's basically the princess of Kokiri Forest because, you know, she's like the aside from Mito, like the leader-ish character who does
She's the
actual,
popular one.
right? Like she goes
The
to
only one with
temple
green
and
hair.
does everything, yeah. And then Princess Ruto is like obviously the princess, and then we have Impa, who's like the only Sheikah left, but also is running an entire town by herself. And then we have Naburu, who is the exalted Naburu, second in command to Ganondorf, which sounds a lot like the princess of the Gerudo if, they had a different system in place. So like they're all like these, I don't know, if you're going to talk about like
super highly influential people.
Yeah, and they're all like women in positions of power who care about their community and kind of like go after helping, like I think they get called as a sage. Like everybody gets called out of their own temples as sages because like the reality of the situation is that Link needs to grow as a person and he has to be the one to take care of those things in order to grow. Like, I kind of wonder how many of them would have been successful in what they were trying to do had they not been called as a sage.
I need to see a video of Darunia versus Volvagia now.
Right?
Death battle!
Especially if he
That would
has
have been awesome.
the moves that you get with the Goron mask in Majora's. He just, like, rolls around with the spikes and everything and is like, yeah.
He just pounds Volvagia in the face with his fist of 1,000 tons.
Would have been fantastic, I think is what we're getting at.
Yes.
Or Impa fighting Bongo.
Deku Nut City. She would have been flips from hand to hand.
Yeah, I was going to say, she'd like jump up in the air and do like a superhero leg kick into each hand.
She has that little dagger behind her back, too. She probably would have shoved that right into the eyeball. It would have been fantastic.
Oh, jeez.
One shot.
I mean, she was kind of getting old, but, I think she still could have done it. I think she still had it in her.
I feel like that.
She's pretty beast. She doesn't look like she ages at all in the 7 years that you were frozen, so. But, she's been taking care of Zelda since she was a baby, so.
Vampires in Hyrule confirmed.
They do have red eyes.
Sheikah are vampires.
We will have to hold on to that thought and see how much it gets confirmed in other games. But cool. I think that's going to do it for us, though. Unless you guys have anything else you want to add.
Season 2!
Season 2, hype!
Yeah, coming up is Season 2. Y'all join us for the next
Coming in hot.
It's going to be
Coming
great.
in
This is
hot.
going to be Cam's first time playing it. We're going to have a ball.
Yeah,
it's going to
it
be
is.
great.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to hear how, this is not a game that we're quote-unquote super familiar with. I mean, we've all played Ocarina of Time. The story is set in place.
So many times.
Yeah.
But like Skyward Sword is less open, I want to say, than Ocarina of Time. Ocarina of Time
And it's way newer.
is more open to theory versus Skyward Sword, which does have theories. There are theories that can sprout and we can find in that game, but it's more of an open story, and I'm excited to see what we do with it.
Yeah, I'm excited to dive back in and try to like actually pick out some details that when I played it last time, I was not in the place to really take it apart, but
Yeah, me neither.
hoping that I can do a little bit more of that this time through and see what we come up with. So should be a lot of fun. Looking forward to it. But yeah, this has been our episode of A for No, B for Yes. If y'all want to get in contact with us, send us any kind of lore questions, I guess, that you want us to ponder and talk about, or any theories of your own, any gameplay experiences that you want to share, hit us up. There'll be links in the description to all of our social medias and email and all of that. So
Links.
yeah, so that's the episode, and thank you all for listening.
Did you get all that? Did I get all that? Did anybody get any of that? Is anybody here? Who turned out the lights? I'm stopping the recording.